Part 54. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 531. No one would be happy if it were 996. Lu Yu shook his head. At this moment, the woman at the front suddenly burst out with a bright light. A layer of ice blue barrier covered everyone. In an instant, the harshness disappeared. The woman's face turned slightly pale. Are you guys okay? Chapter 0402 Horrible Creatures, Weaknesses of Kixing's Hong. Are you okay? We're fine. Lu Yu shook his head. Everyone. We are really in pain. But despite this, everyone still nodded. Fine. I can still hold on. Yes. Many talents spoke out. Compared to life and death, this pain is really nothing. Seeing this, Qingxiu said nothing more. She looked outside again. The black shadow appeared in the distance at some point, and it seemed that it was not ready to attack. The woman's face was still solemn. Next, it may be a little dangerous, so be careful. As soon as she finished speaking, she disappeared. Lu Yu looked outside for an instant. I saw Qingxiu had appeared outside, and behind her, a Dharma body that seemed to reach the sky and the earth was gathering. In just a moment, his body size was already comparable to that of Sombra. Boom! The Dharma body was pulled and shot towards the black shadow with a palm. Lu Yu could see that cracks were appearing one after another. That was the space crack leading to the outside world, and it was torn apart by this terrifying palm at this moment. If you look at it from the outside at this moment, you can see that the space is fluctuating like water. Planets and stars exploded and turned into dust in this gentle wave like water. The star burst out with brilliant light, and then fell into silence. This scene was so terrifying, even though it was as brilliant as an eternal star, it was annihilated the moment Qingxiu took action. Is this the Taisha realm? There was a look of horror in Lu Yu's eyes. Still in the void, the black shadow also noticed the woman who suddenly appeared. It roared again, and murderous intent emerged in its huge planet-like eyes. Boom! The black shadow disappeared, and when it reappeared, it was already in front of the palm. The wings were swept out, and the wings covered with dense black scales directly hit the palm. Boom! An extremely dull sound sounded, and the void seemed to be exploding. The untransmissible sound was actually heard by everyone. There are cracks spreading in the void. Waves of dark aura spread out from the cracks. Although the crack healed quickly, it was enough to shock everyone who saw this scene. The void can actually be torn apart. Among them, Lu Yu was the worst. At the moment when the void was torn apart, he seemed to see another world. The scene just now was constantly echoing in Lu Yu's mind. At this time, the fluctuations caused by the battle finally came over. The light that protects everyone is twisting and pulling, as if it might crack at any time. And everyone among them was vomiting blood and their faces were pale. Just the aftermath left many people unbearable. Lu Yu was okay. Although he didn't feel uncomfortable, he was still within the tolerance range. Suppressing the churning energy and blood, Lu Yu looked outside. Outside the light curtain, I saw the black shadow turning back again. Lu Yu saw the whole body for the first time. A ferocious dragon-like head with exposed fangs. The whole body was covered with a layer of black scales, flowing like liquid. The ends of a pair of wings have sharp claws. At this moment, his wings were waving and he was staring coldly at Qingxiu. Qingxiu, the arm of the Dharma body has disappeared without knowing when. Even though she condensed it again quickly, the degree of solidification was obviously not as good as the arm at the beginning. The first time they fought, they were cut off by a black shadow. Lu Yu frowned slightly. Could it be that Master Qingxiu is not its opponent? Lu Yu felt some trouble. One man and one beast fought again, and this time the fluctuation was even more terrifying. Yu vomited a mouthful of blood onto Lu Yu's feet. He covered his chest with an ugly expression. Lu Yu, why do I feel like I'm going to die? Be confident and let go of your feelings. Yu. What's going on outside? Yu was puzzled. At this time, others also looked at Lu Yu. There is no other reason. Lu Yu seems to be able to see what's going on outside. In response, Lu Yu shook his head. You'll find out later. After the words fell, Qingxiu and Haiming fought again. This fluctuation directly tore apart the light curtain she had set outside at the beginning. Everyone saw the scene outside. Everyone was frightened when they saw Qingxiu's heaven-reaching body and the huge black shadow. In particular, the black shadow's blow directly defeated the Dharma body, making everyone's eyes widen. What's this? It's over. We're all going to die. What on earth is this? At least the Taisha realm. How can there be such an existence in the void? I don't know how many people have been terrified. Facing the existence of this state, they have no idea at all. Maybe some of me and others will be able to grow to this level in the future. However, now it is only Tianyuan realm, facing this kind of realm. Not even ants. After all, the ants still have to work hard to step on them. Lu Yu looked at all this, but what puzzled him was that Yu wasn't surprised at all. Aren't you afraid? A truly strong man will not be afraid of death. Yu held his head high and Lu Yu gave him a kick. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 532. Speak humanly. It's useless to be afraid. Yu shook his head. These strange species that wander outside the order are one of the most annoying things for those who return to zero. Qixing's Hong? What do you mean? Lu Yu frowned. When Yu saw this, he smiled mysteriously. Want to know? Join our Universe Zero Association. I'll add your head. Lu Yu whipped Yu away with his backhand. Whether this thing can be dealt with, stop talking nonsense, otherwise we will all die. Lu Yu looked at Yu seriously. Seeing this, Yu sighed. Yes, I have. What can I do? Lu Yu looked at Yu. It's easy to say, as long as there is another Taisha strongman. Bang. Yu flew again. Can you please stop hitting people? Snap. You can't move your feet either. Laugh. Finally, Yu looked at his bleeding wrist and fell into deep thought. You didn't press the gun. Sorry, I really can't hold it in any longer. If you don't say anything, I'm going to explode. Lu Yu was holding a red electric gun and he was about to explode. What the hell are you talking about? Hearing this, Yu frowned. Are you really going to explode? If you don't say anything, you will definitely explode. Lu Yu stared at Yu. After Yu heard this, he took out a needle and stuck it into Lu Yu's body. Why don't you explode? Yu looked puzzled. Lu Yu. Bang. Finally, Yu slowly lay down. Stop fighting, I said, but actually you can't do it even if you say so. This kind of strange species is very strong, but it also has weaknesses, and once it finds a weakness, it is basically dead. It's a pity that they hide it very well. Tell me, can you find it? Yu spread his hands and looked like he was waiting for death. Chapter 0403 Qi Xin Zhong escapes, you steal my lines. Does Qixing's Hong have a weakness? Lu Yu frowned. Where are their weaknesses hidden? How do I know this? If I knew, I would have told Mr. Qingxiu long ago. Yu stopped bleeding and looked helpless. Seeing this, Lu Yu stopped talking nonsense and turned his head to look at the black shadow. Don't tell me, do you really have to rely on your eyes to find it? What do you think? After the words fell, the next moment, Lu Yu's eyes burst into golden light. Use all your strength to activate, The eye of divine sight? When Yu saw this, he was instantly shocked. Dig. Real 24K titanium alloy dog. Before Yu could finish speaking, Lu Yu punched him away. This guy keeps nagging next to me, which is annoying to death. Focusing his attention, Lu Yu carefully observed the black shadow under everyone's gaze. The eye of divine sight was activated with all its strength, and instantly everything in the world became transparent in Lu Yu's eyes. The figure of the black shadow, which was originally so fast and uncaptured, also slowed down. Time seemed to stop at this moment. Lu Yu's thoughts were running rapidly, and he carefully observed every part of the black shadow's body. That layer of black scales could no longer block his sight. See beyond the appearance to see the essence. Finally, Lu Yu's eyes fell on the black shadow. The dark shadow happened to be staring at Lu Yu. Roar! As if he noticed something, the black shadow abandoned Qingxiu and rushed directly towards Lu Yu. Lu Yu's consciousness reacted instantly. The weak point, its weak point, is at the top of its head. Lu Yu shouted. At first he thought his weak spot would be his eyes. But in fact, this strange species does not see things with these eyes at all. Its real eyes are hidden on the top of its head, under the black armor. When Qingxiu heard this, she had no time to think. No matter what, stop it. Otherwise, Lu Yu and others will all die. Without too much hesitation, the Dharma body behind the woman solidified to the extreme at this moment. A long sword appeared in her hand at some point. With all his might, he struck towards the top of Qi Xing's head. Roar! The black shadow noticed Qingxiu's offensive. This time, he didn't dare to ignore it at all. He rolled his body and spread his wings to protect his head. Laugh! The next moment, the long sword fell on the black wings, and green blood spurted out like a river pouring out. At the same time, Qi Xing's roared angrily. It came towards Lu Yu in an instant. Seeing this, Qingxiu took action immediately. Boom! There was a dull sound, and this time, Qingxiu's blow finally landed on Qi Xing's head. Roar! It screamed in pain and its eyes were bleeding. Staring at Lu Yu with hatred, this strange creature turned around and walked away without any nostalgia. Everyone was shocked when they saw this scene. It was too fast and too decisive. In just a blink of an eye, it disappeared. When Qingxiu saw this scene, she felt a sense of exhaustion welling up in her heart. The Dharma body was taken back, and her complexion improved slightly. Returning to the teleportation light, the woman stared at Lu Yu with a solemn expression. How did you do that? Her eyes were complicated. He had no idea how to attack before, but Lu Yu just gave him a hint. After he attacked twice, this terrifying creature actually escaped. It's so incredible. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Shui. Chapter 533. Master Qingxiu, I know this. Lu Yu has a pair of 24K gold titanium alloy dogs. Get lost. Yu wanted to interrupt, but Lu Yu kicked him away. Looking at the woman in front of him, Lu Yu waved his hand. Little Doyle, it's mainly because Yu knows the weakness of this thing and told me its weakness. Lu Yu was very modest. The eye of divine vision is related to the blood of the gods, so it's better to keep a low profile. Doesn't Yu like to show off? Come on. Lu Yu smiled and looked at Yu. Yu waved his hand, with a righteous face. How is it possible? I just started talking nonsense, but I didn't expect Lu Yu to really find the weakness. If you don't believe me, Master Qingxiu, ask everyone. Yu pointed at everyone with one hand. Qingxiu looked over. All of a sudden, everyone nodded, and said excitedly, Yes. It was indeed Lu Yu who found it. Lu Yu's eyes are so sharp, he saved us. Yes, yes, this matter is mostly Lu Yu's credit, everyone said enthusiastically. Lu Yu saved everyone's lives, and everyone can't let Lu Yu lose the reputation he deserves. Hearing this, Lu Yu's eyes were a little wet. I really don't want this honor. You can give it to Yu Yu, isn't it better to give it to him? Yu Yu already had a cunning smile on his face. Lu Yu, seize the opportunity, I also like Lord Qingxiu, but as a brother, I. Lord Qingxiu, did you hear it? He likes you. Lu Yu calmly turned on the recorder on the smart brain. Soon, Yu Yu's voice was released, and everyone heard it clearly. I still have to learn from you when it comes to being a dog. Yu Yu gave a thumbs up. Lu Yu smiled. I'm just giving him a taste of his own medicine. I learned how to be a dog from you. The two of them started talking again, forgetting everything else. Qingxiu watched for a long time and finally spoke. Okay, what reward do you two want? She looked at Lu Yu and Yu Yu. Both of them have contributed, so both of them should be rewarded. Hearing this, Lu Yu and Yu Yu looked at each other. What do you want? 2. I don't want anything. 2. You're just imitating me. 2. 2. Everyone beside them looked at the two of them, with some helpless expressions. Qingxiu sighed even more. Don't argue. Okay. 2. Lu Yu and Yu Yu were quiet at the same time. Qingxiu looked at the two of them, thought for a while, and then said. Reward me by giving you some time to think about it. Return to the supercluster and give me an answer. As she said that, she went to the front again. Seeing this, Lu Yu and Yu Yu breathed a sigh of relief. Why are you relieved? 2. The two looked at each other and sneered. Sure enough, you have a secret? 2. Lu Yu. Yu Yu. I said, you are my destined phoenix, and you speak so nicely. Yu Yu sighed. In response, Lu Yu said nothing. Where did you get the information about the strange species? Lu Yu frowned slightly, puzzled. The reason is very simple. Qingxiu seems to be unaware of the existence of the strange species. This can be seen from her previous battle. She is completely at a disadvantage. It is hard to imagine that a strong man in the Taisha realm does not know about this kind of thing. But Yu Yu knows it. Yu Yu already has a serious face. Those who understand this thing will understand it, and those who don't understand it will not be useful to say it. The water is deep, and the interests behind it are too big. It will not benefit you or me to say it. Lu Yu. Pa. He slapped him in the face with his backhand. You are stealing my lines. Chapter 0404 Arrival at the Great Wall, Area 16. Isn't it obvious that he is stealing his lines? How can I tolerate this? I can't tolerate it anymore. Seeing this, Yu Yu had a sad expression on his face. I've already said it, you'll know everything when you join our association. Yu Yu continued to bewitch him. Lu Yu was silent for a moment and looked at Yu Yu's hair. You dyed your hair because you joined the association, right? That's not right, I have to be the most handsome guy in the entire association. Then forget it. Lu Yu waved his hand. Yu Yu is the most handsome guy. If I go there, won't they be envious of me right away? Seeing this, Yu Yu persuaded him again. Believe me, if you join our Universe Zero Association and work together for a great goal, you will get unimaginable happiness. How happy? Is it the kind of happiness between men and women? Sorry, I haven't experienced it. Instantly, Yu Yu's face was expressionless. Seeing this, Lu Yu was happy. Then you'd better stop nagging me. The more I heard this guy, the more he felt like a cult organization. Too scary. Lu Yu didn't respond, and you had no choice but to nod helplessly. You will take the initiative to seek to join one day, believe me. Let's talk about it when that day comes, Lu Yu said. This guy has never told me until now. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 534. What on earth is this association for? They tricked me into joining it? Impossible. I, Lu Yu, am a person who loves freedom. Forgive me for being unrestrained and loving freedom all my life. Lu Yu hummed an old song before the time travel and squinted his eyes to rest. There were no more waves along the way. After the strange creature escaped, it seemed to have really disappeared. For 4 hours, the entire outside world was pitch black. And finally, after 4 hours, Qingxia got up. Okay, we're almost there. As soon as the voice fell, everyone tore through space and came out. Lu Yu also cheered up and looked ahead. The space tore and entered the real universe. In front of him, it was still pitch black. But in this pitch black, you can see a line that spans the vast universe. A white line. At first it looked like a white line, but when you get closer, you find that it is actually a city wall. When the distance gets closer, everyone is stunned by the shocking scene. The black wall stood between heaven and earth, as if it cut through everything and divided the entire universe into 2 halves. There was no bottom, no top, and it stretched left and right, majestic and magnificent. Just at such a long distance, everyone could no longer see the boundaries and up and down. The entire wall seemed to divide the universe into 2 halves. The most shocking thing was the majestic aura that came to one's face, which made people kneel down. Beside Lu Yu, Yu was already in a trance, looking at the wall in the distance with a dull look. Is this, the land of miracles? He whispered, but even so, Lu Yu still heard it. Lu Yu's brows frowned instantly. This guy. The land of miracles, in other words, was actually built by God. How could he know? Lu Yu found that he suddenly couldn't understand Yu again. Is he really stupid, or is he pretending to be stupid? Lu Yu thought and looked at the Great Wall. He had seen the Great Wall many times in the illusion, but for some reason, now that he was facing it in person, he felt that it was not as good as the wall he saw in the illusion. It seemed to be missing something, without the real sense of desolation and killing, and even less the power that seemed to isolate everything in the sky and on the earth. The most important thing was, there was no blood. Lu Yu clearly remembered that the wall he saw was stained with blood. It was desolate and tragic. And the wall in the distance was just simply majestic. Perhaps, it was just because his expectations were too high. Or maybe, this was not the section of the wall he saw. After all, the Great Wall is very large, and different locations should be different. Lu Yu thought so in his heart. Qingxia had already looked back at everyone. We are about to enter the Great Wall. Remember that after entering the Great Wall, you cannot act privately. Everything must follow the rules. Do you understand? Got it? Everyone spoke in unison. Even if Qingxia didn't say it, they would do so. After all, everything seemed too small in front of this wall. Even the most arrogant people would restrain their arrogance in front of it. Yu pulled Lu Yu's arm. How about it? Do you feel very domineering? Yu said. Very domineering, Lu Yu said. Indeed. Facing such a magnificent wall, even the most powerful creatures seem too weak. A brick is a planet. Qingxia stood in the front and raised her hand. Now, everyone be quiet and follow me into the pass. As soon as the voice fell, everyone was once again engulfed in the light and quickly marched towards the wall. This march took an hour. The wall was right in front of them, but even so, it still took an hour. The woman in the front stopped only when she saw the wall everywhere. In front of her, a team of black armored soldiers appeared at some point. Those coming from the inner pass, please show your entry credentials. A general walked out, and his aura was that of the Taisha realm. This surprised everyone. Are all the generals of a group of soldiers on the Great Wall at the Taisha realm? The other beings wearing black armor are not lower than the Yuanchu realm. This is really amazing. Qingxiu has already taken out a black stone. After the general finished reading it, he glanced at the genius behind him and said coldly, "Area 16. Come on." The woman waved her hand and led everyone into a light gate. Lu Yu also followed, but he couldn't help but look at these black-armored marching soldiers. He was more and more confused in his heart. Something is wrong. How could there be people stationed on the Great Wall? Hasn't it been broken? Lu Yu hesitated. Confused in his heart, Lu Yu stepped into the light gate. The next moment, he disappeared outside the city wall. When he appeared again, it was already pitch black around him. Suddenly, torches were lit. Hundreds of people appeared in an empty hall without knowing when. Qingxiu waved her hand, and all the torches in the hall were lit. "We have now entered the interior of the Great Wall," she said, which made everyone happy. After many dangers along the way, they finally got in. Lu Yu looked around. At the moment, he and his companions were obviously in a hall somewhere in the Great Wall, but they didn't know where exactly. Seeing this, Qingxiu glanced at Lu Yu. "We are now in the 16th area, which is also your main activity area. Unless there are special circumstances, you are not allowed to leave here. The 16th area is also the 16th city of the Great Wall. The city is outside the hall. You can rest for a day and gather here the next day. I will give you the task." After the voice fell, the woman disappeared, leaving only a group of excited geniuses. "Oh my God! There is a city inside the Great Wall. Of course. The Great Wall is too big. I don't know how high a wall is, it's really magnificent. I'm really curious, what kind of existence built this kind of building? It's like a miracle of the universe." I don't know how many geniuses were excited and talked about it. This place is too mysterious. There is actually a city inside the Great Wall. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 535. Lu Yu stood in the corner, and his expression changed again when he heard this. How come there is a city? He felt more and more that this was not what he imagined. At this time, Yu came over. "How about it? Have you thought about it? If you have thought about it, let's go to the red light district of 16 cities, and you can pass the test and join our Universe Zero Association. Get lost." "Okay." Yu turned around happily. "If you change your mind, just crush this jade token. There is no interstellar network inside the Great Wall." As he said that, Yu walked out of the hall. For a while, others also left here. Lu Yu frowned slightly when he saw this. "Lu Yu, where are we going?" Ahashi Leiju obviously didn't know where to go. Lu Yu said, "Let's go for a walk first." He still wanted to see what the city inside the Great Wall looked like. In addition, where are the relics left by the moon god Heaven? Chapter 0405 Women are like scabbards, the atmosphere is weird. Where are the relics of the moon god Heaven? Lu Yu came to the Great Wall for two purposes. One purpose is to see with his own eyes this vast wall that has appeared in the illusion many times. On the other hand, he wants to get the legacy left by the god Heaven. But now that he is here, Lu Yu knows that he has overestimated himself before. The entire Great Wall is too grand. Lu Yu and Dakiao Leiju walked out of the hall and looked at the city below that stretched to the edge of their sight, dumbfounded. It is difficult for Lu Yu to give an accurate adjective for the size of the city. It is really too big. Even if I have the blessing of the Eye of Divine Vision, I still can't see the edge. It's unimaginable. There is such a city inside the Great Wall. And the key is that there are really a lot of people. The place where the hall is located is a high point in the city. Lu Yu looked down from this angle. The flow of people in the entire city is quite amazing. The dense crowd is like ants. And how many cities like this are there inside the Great Wall? It's really too weird. Why are there so many people living inside the Great Wall? Lu Yu can see at a glance that this place is a pure martial arts path. There is no trace of technology at all. Instead, there are many warriors, and from time to time, strong people pass by. Beside him, Dakiao Leiju was also stunned when he saw this scene. Lu Yu, this is too unimaginable, right? Dakiao Leiju was a little confused. She didn't know about the existence of the Great Wall, and had never heard of it before. Now that she saw such a place somewhere in the universe, she was a little overturned. Seeing this, Lu Yu didn't say anything. He was also quite confused now. Qingxiu left without saying anything. He didn't know the customs and habits of this 16th city at all. The most important thing is, how to find the relics of the moon god heaven. A city is so big, and God knows how many cities there are in the entire Great Wall. Lu Yu could even suspect that there was a galaxy hidden here. Shaking his head, Lu Yu looked forward. Don't think too much, let's go down first, Lu Yu said. His idea was very simple, just find a local to ask about the situation. The most urgent thing was to find out the situation. Ahashi Leiju didn't have any ideas, and grabbed Lu Yu's hand. Lu Yu, I'm your woman, you must protect me. Ahashi Leiju looked at Lu Yu seriously. Lu Yu shook his head. You can't. Why? Ahashi Leiju frowned instantly. Is it because I'm not beautiful? Ahashi Leiju smiled sweetly. Beautiful. Is it because I'm not big? Ahashi Leiju straightened his chest. Big. Is that because I'm not sexy enough? Ahashi Leiju twisted his waist. Then why don't you like me? Because you are not worthy of being my scabbard. Lu Yu shook his head, his expression sighed. Men are like swords, and women are scabbards. A good scabbard will not feel blocked when drawing and sheathing the sword. Instead, it will make the speed of drawing and sheathing the sword faster and faster, and the sword edge sharper and sharper as the sword is drawn day by day. The faster the sword is drawn, the stronger the man is. And a suitable scabbard is the top priority. Whether it is from the perspective of appearance, feel or comfort, it needs to be carefully selected. You are obviously not good enough. Lu Yu slowly said a long paragraph. Dakiao Leiju was silent for a while after hearing this. You don't even try to insert the sword a few times, how do you know if it is good or not? Of course I know that a good scabbard can be seen from its appearance alone. Lu Yu shook his head. Dakiao Leiju. I am convinced. You actually said that you don't want me to be so fresh and refined. You are indeed a scumbag. Thank you for the compliment. Maybe my heart hurt you unintentionally, but I promise that it was not intentional. It was intentional. Dakiao Leiju snorted coldly. Continue to play with my legs tonight. That's possible. Lu Yu smiled. Dakiao Leiju gritted his teeth. I won't give up. I'll keep going. Lu Yu smiled faintly and looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle. The life of an excellent man is indeed so ordinary and boring. While the two were talking, they had already arrived in the city. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu. Chapter 536. Lu Yu's attention was focused on his surroundings again. There were relatively few pedestrians on the street where he and Ahashi Reiku were currently. After Lu Yu looked around, he felt that he and Dakiao were a little out of place here. The clothes worn by many of the aborigines of the 16th city are quite retro. And what Lu Yu and Dakiao wore for a long time were almost all technological products. Standing among the crowd, it is as if modern people have traveled to ancient times. It is very conspicuous and attracts everyone's attention. However, no one came forward to say anything. It seems that I have to take the initiative to find someone. Seeing this, Lu Yu quickly looked at a little girl. The little girl looks young, maybe 14 or early 15 years old. His whole body was dirty, and he stood in the distance, looking timidly at Lu Yu and Ahashi Reiku. Seeing Lu Yu looking at her, she quickly looked away. Lu Yu walked over. "Hello, my name is Lu Yu." Lu Yu gave a friendly smile, but the next moment, the little girl turned around and ran away. "Mother, there is a guaner here." The little girl cried and threw herself into the arms of a woman who was setting up a stall on the roadside. Seeing this, the woman became flustered and immediately ran away with the little girl without even confiscating the stall. And around him, one after another looked at him with hatred, and Lu Yu even clearly sensed a few wisps of murderous intent. This made the smile freeze on his face. What's going on? Isn't it true that my genius has enough charm points to make me fall in love with everyone, make flowers bloom when I see her, and make men bend when I see her? Why are you playing this now? Next to him, Ahashi Miku couldn't help but cover his mouth and smile. Lu Yu, you can't do it? She smiled happily and was happy to see Lu Yu embarrassed. You go ahead, Lu Yu narrowed his eyes and asked. I'll go up, I'll go up. Ahashi Reiku snorted, flipped up his hair, and walked towards a man next to him who was also setting up a stall. Brother, can I ask you something? Ahashi Reiku blinked his eyes, his pretty face bright. The two looked at each other, and the atmosphere was silent for 2 seconds. You are expensive and I can't afford it? You can leave. Ahashi Reiku. Red and hot, in a trance, ha ha ha, Lu Yuren teased with laughter. Leiju, wherever you go, you smell like a prostitute. Ahashi Reiku. She suppressed her anger and looked at the man in front of her with a smile. Brother, I just want to get some news from you. Nobles in the pass, please stop messing with us poor people in the outer city and go communicate with the martial arts elites in the inner city. The man's eyes were numb and he opened his chapped lips. Chapter 04062 Systems, all the insiders should die. The man's words stunned Reiku Ahashi on the spot. Her eyebrows furrowed. Brother, I really just want to get some news from you, nothing else. The man didn't answer any questions and just remained silent. The bridge has been in vain for a long time. You laugh at me. Ahashi Reiju had a resigned expression on his face, but to her surprise, Lu Yu didn't say anything and didn't even look at her. What's wrong with you? It's nothing, just thinking about something. Lu Yu shook his head. The man's words just now confused him. Outer city? Poor. A wealthy martial arts clan? What's the meaning? Lu Yu glanced at the eyes of the people around him again. The disgust made him feel uncomfortable all over. What's the situation? Why are all of them, they seem to really hate outsiders like themselves. Xenophobia, but not to this extent. Let me ask you a few things. This star core is yours. Lu Yu took out a piece of star core. Unsurprisingly, the man shook his head. Things from Naiguan won't work here. Rejected again. This time, even the star core, the universal currency of the universe, was rejected. Coupled with the fact that there was no technology at all here and the situation was seriously xenophobic, Lu Yu vaguely thought of something in his heart. Here, it seems to be completely separate from the outside world. Beyond a universal language? Lu Yu, what's going on with these people? Ahashi Reiku was confused. He and Lu Yu took turns playing, but in the end they didn't even want the star core. This is too incredible. The most important thing is, why are there so many Aborigines from the 16th city gathered around the two of them? What the hell? Lu Yu also noticed this scene. The streets were crowded with people at some point, and many Aborigines from the 16th city in rags occupied the entire street. One by one, they looked at Lu Yu and Ahashi Reiko with an angry look. It's so abominable. They bullied us again. Give these noble insiders some color. Why can they stay safe in the inner border, but we have to stay here? Roars sounded one after another, and many natives of the 16th city came to oppress them. Lu Yu kept Ahashi Leiju behind him, looked around, and frowned. What's going on? At this moment, a voice came out. Give way, Sir Tenyuan is here. As soon as these words came out, the crowd that was originally crowding the street quickly gave way to a path. The Aborigines of the 16th city looked at a big man who walked out of the crowd with awe. The big man looked to be about 40 or 50 years old, at least 2 meters tall, wearing a beast's skin, bare upper body, and covered with scars all over his body. As he walked out, a bloody and murderous aura came towards him. I heard that some people from Nayaguan were making trouble, he said, looking at Lu Yu. Lu Yu's face did not change. Are you talking about me? What are you talking about? The big man stared at Lu Yu fiercely. Seeing this, Lu Yu's expression was not very comfortable. I didn't make trouble. Hey, who came to me to report the news before? The big man looked at the crowd. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 537. Soon, a woman came out with a little girl. The mother and daughter knelt down in front of the big man. Master Tenyuan, it's us, he wants to take my child away. The woman pointed at Lu Yu with a trembling hand, her eyes were very complicated. The entanglement of pain and shame finally turned into decisiveness. Lu Yu. No, where did I steal someone? You should at least be a little sensible when you speak. Where did I steal your daughter? Lu Yu frowned slightly. Seeing this, the big man sneered. You, tell me, does he want to kidnap you? The big man looked at the mother and daughter. The woman's eyes immediately became confused. It's not me, sir, it's my daughter. I'm talking about your daughter. But you're talking about you. I'm so angry, you're telling me a tongue twister. The big man slapped the woman. The woman immediately fell to the ground, bleeding from the corner of her mouth. Seeing this, the little girl hurriedly said, Master Tenyuan, it's him, please don't hit my mother, I beg you. The little girl cried and lay on the woman. The big man saw this and looked at Lu Yu again. What else do you have to say? The big man looked at Lu Yu. Lu Yu. What is torture to confess? I guess this is it. I said I didn't do it, Lu Yu took a deep breath and said. He was forcibly suppressing his anger. He didn't know the situation well, so he didn't want to act rashly before the situation was clear. But obviously, the big man didn't think so. You're going to die and refuse to admit it, right? Everyone is talking about you, it must be you. I hate you self-righteous Nayaguan people the most. You don't do anything, let us help you defend the Great Wall, and you lie on us to suck blood. I've been enduring you for a long time, you know. A huge axe appeared in the hand of the big man, and the axe fell and sank directly into the ground. Seeing this, Lu Yu narrowed his eyes. Dakiao Leiju was so angry that his face turned red. You are unreasonable and framed good people. Good people? There are good people in Nayaguan? Everyone, listen, is it a joke? The big man smiled and looked at everyone. As expected, those numb-faced Aborigines showed sarcastic smiles on their faces for the first time. Seeing this scene, Lu Yu's inner doubts became deeper and deeper. What is the situation inside this great wall? But it is obvious that the big man did not give him too much time to think. People from Naegwin, I'll give you two choices today. Either kneel down and apologize to us, or cut off one hand and leave. The big man stroked the axe blade of the giant axe and laughed grimly. Beside him, countless people shouted. Let the noble Naegwin people kneel down. This is the world of the Great Wall, not yours. Why don't you just stay in Naegwin and wait for the Great Wall to be broken? Why do you have to come here to die? Ha ha ha. Everyone in Naegwin deserves to die. Unknown number of people in ragged clothes laughed, looking forward to a good show. The big man looked at Lu Yu with murderous eyes. Have you thought it over? Lu Yu was silent for a while and looked at the big man. Is there any impact if I kill you? Impact? Of course it doesn't matter. In this humming world, strength is king everywhere. The big man sneered. Seeing this, Lu Yu nodded. Since everything is fine, I'm relieved. As he said that, Lu Yu hooked his finger at the big man. Come here and die. Are you looking for death? The big man sneered and swung his axe at Lu Yu. Everyone opened their eyes wide, expecting Lu Yu to be split in half and blood to fly into the sky. And Lu Yu also threw a punch. Chapter 0407 Why did Ten Yuan die like this? Lu Yu threw a punch straight out, as if he didn't care about the huge axe that was chopped down. The big man saw the scene and showed a ferocious smile at the corner of his mouth. Nothing else, at this speed, Lu Yu would be directly chopped in half by his axe. Everyone thought the same thing and looked at the two with wide eyes. However, the next moment, everyone was stunned. I saw that Lu Yu disappeared at some point, and when he appeared again, he was already in front of the big man. That punch landed on his chest. Puff. The big man spat out a mouthful of blood instantly, and flew backwards into the crowd, knocking down countless people. The giant axe was stepped on by Lu Yu. He looked coldly at the big man who was lying on the ground and twitching, and his expression did not change. Be careful in your next life, don't hum horses all the time. Lu Yu said. The big man wanted to look up, but was hit by Lu Yu's punch. He felt that all the bones in his body seemed to be broken. No matter how hard he tried, his body did not move. You, puff. The big man wanted to speak, but he spat out a mouthful of blood, stared at the sky with lifeless eyes, and his head fell heavily to the ground. Died on the spot. Everyone saw this scene, their eyes widened. What? Lord Ten Yuan is dead. Lord Ten Yuan was beaten to death. This Naegwin man is dead, he dared to kill people. Everyone run. Instantly, the crowd that had gathered around rushed out. And those unlucky people who were stepped on covered their heads and looked at Lu Yu with fear. Don't kill me, I don't dare. Please give me a way out, you people in Naegwin have enjoyed enough. Please don't kill me. The people who didn't have time to escape wailed. Seeing this, Lu Yu frowned even more tightly. To be honest, he didn't care about this Ten Yuan at all. But he was just Tongxian's strength, so he killed him casually. What puzzled Lu Yu was why these natives in the Great Wall were so hostile to people like him who came from outside the Great Wall. Lu Yu, how to deal with her? Dakiao Leiju pointed to the little girl in the distance. The little girl hugged the unconscious woman tightly and knelt down to Lu Yu with a panicked look. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 538. Please don't kill me and my mother. I really didn't mean to do it. Lord Ten Yuan heard that someone from the inside was coming and asked me to identify you specifically. We just want to live. The little girl said with tears. Seeing this, Lu Yu thought for a moment and quickly walked over. Don't kill me and my mother, please. The little girl hugged the woman, not even daring to look at Lu Yu. Lu Yu looked at her thin body under her tattered clothes and thought for a moment before asking. Where's your father? Father is dead. The little girl lowered her head even further. Lu Yu's clothes were so luxurious that it was difficult for her to look up. After hearing this, Lu Yu said, Take me to your house to see you. I won't kill you and your mother. Thank you, sir. The little girl's expression became joyful, and she knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Lu Yu. Ahashi Reiku looked puzzled when he saw this scene. Lu Yu, you. Lu Yu shook his head. He is becoming more and more curious now. What is going on here at the Great Wall? It is unbelievable that he is so hostile to the outside world. Following the little girl, Lu Yu entered a dilapidated alley under the terrified gazes of the Aborigines. There were many people lying on both sides of the alley. Lu Yu originally thought they were dead people, but when he passed by, everyone was startled. This shocked Reiku Ahashi. Lu Yu, isn't this place too barren? Ahashi glanced at the people on the side of the road and the dirty alleys for a long time, and couldn't help but frown. It is rare for a proud girl like her who was born into the top ethnic group in the galaxy. Lu Yu was fine. Whether it's before time travel or after time travel. His rough life allowed him to see many underlying things. The poor are a species that will never disappear. There are classes everywhere, and a utopia where everyone is equal is impossible to achieve. Without saying anything, Lu Yu followed the little girl and walked deeper into the alley. After about 10 minutes, the little girl stopped. This is it. She said timidly, looking at the woman who Lu Yu was holding up with the power of the star source. Lu Yu glanced at the dilapidated shack in front of him and let go of his hand. The woman fell to the ground and let out a muffled groan. After a while, she opened her eyes a little dazed. Until I saw Lu Yu. You, Master Tenyuan, he. The woman's eyes became frightened. The little girl quickly covered the woman's mouth. Tenyuan was killed by the Lord. The little girl's words made the woman even more frightened. She didn't bother to wipe the blood from the corner of her mouth and quickly knelt down towards Lu Yu. Sir, this is all my fault. Don't kill my daughter. Let her kill me. I beg you. As she spoke, the woman kowtowed. Lu Yu looked at the scene and said nothing. To kill or not to kill, this question actually only depends on one's own thoughts. The value of just killing them is obviously not as good as the information you want. I'll ask you some questions. If you answer them, I'll let you go, Lu Yu said. Although Reiku Ahashi was a little surprised by this, it was not too unexpected. Lu Yu's choice was quite correct. Killing them has no effect at all. For now, we still have to ask about the situation inside the Great Wall. Lu Yu, you almost think of me the same way. I said it first. Lu Yu glanced at Dakiao Leiju. This girl is so confident. In this regard, Ahashi Leiju hugged his shoulders. What I say is who I am. As long as you are happy. Lu Yu looked at the mother and daughter in front of him. Have you thought about my conditions? Sir, as long as you are willing, I can do anything for you. As she spoke, the woman knelt down again, trembling. Seeing this, Lu Yu's mouth twitched. Although I admit that she has a good figure, is plump, and has a bit of beauty. But the child is right next to you, how can you say this? Ahashi Reiku came up. Lu Yu, don't you want to try it? I'll give you a try. Lu Yu gave Ahashi Reiku a chestnut and looked at the woman seriously. All I want is for you to answer my questions. Yeah, sir, just say whatever you want, the woman said quickly. Seeing this, Lu Yu pondered for a moment and then asked quickly. Why do you reject us so-called Nayaguan people so much? What does Nayaguan mean? Why is it excluded? What does it mean to be a Nayaguanran? These are the two things Lu Yu wants to know most right now. Seeing this, the woman quickly bowed her head and answered. Chapter 0408 Beyond the Great Wall there is such a deep scar. My lord, as a Nayaguan person, don't you know these things clearly, the woman said. When Lu Yu saw this, a question mark slowly appeared on his face. You know what? Lu Yu looked at Dakiao Leiju. Ahashi Reiku also had questions on his face. I don't know. You tell me. Lu Yu looked at the woman. The woman's expression was obviously a little shocked. Don't you even know? Don't people from the inside often come here? That should be kept secret. Lu Yu thought of what Kinksu had said to him and others at the beginning. Everything you see and hear inside the Great Wall must be kept secret. Ahashi Leiju nodded, his expression serious. I'm afraid we've all been deceived. Lu Yu nodded and looked at the woman. Go ahead. Okay, then I'll tell you. The woman's expression darkened. The reason we exclude you is that those of us trapped inside the Great Wall will eventually die. And you, because of the Great Wall's obstruction, are destined to live longer than us. Nayaguan means the place inside the Great Wall. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mushui. Chapter 539. The woman's words sounded. Lu Yu and Diqiao were both stunned for a long time. What do you mean? You are trapped in the Great Wall. Yes, those of us who were born within the Great Wall will never be able to leave the Great Wall or even leave the city in our lives. The only place we can go is beyond the Great Wall. The woman's eyes became increasingly sad. The little girl huddled in the woman's arms, her eyes filled with tears. Father died because he went to search for resources outside the Great Wall. Lu Yu was a little surprised when he heard this. You can't go inside the Great Wall, you can only go outside the Great Wall. What's the point? Why can't you enter the area within the Great Wall? I don't know this either. I only know that anyone who tries to enter the area within the Great Wall will be killed by the Black Armored Army. When the Black Armored Army was mentioned, the woman's eyes became obviously more frightened. Lu Yu also thought of the marching team he had seen when entering the Great Wall. Then, I'm afraid it's the Black Armored Army, right? Using the Taisha realm as a general just to prevent people from the Great Wall from running to areas within the Great Wall? What kind of operation is this? This high-end combat power is used as a security guard. Lu Yu's brows furrowed even deeper, and he took a deep breath and asked. Is it dangerous outside the Great Wall? Danger, the woman nodded. All male warriors who reach the realm of Takumai and above after adulthood will be sent outside the Great Wall to search for resources. Most of them will die, and only a few will survive. The woman's words made Lu Yu think of something again. He turned and looked toward the alley. That's when I discovered it. Women account for the vast majority. Are all the men dead? No, you're lying, Lu Yu frowned. If you help us defend the Great Wall, we will definitely provide you with resources. Resources, the woman smiled bitterly. Sir, are you kidding? We risked our lives to search for the resources within the Great Wall and brought them back from outside the Great Wall. I really am not lying to you. The woman's words made Lu Yu fall into silence. If what the woman said was true, he could understand why the people here hated people from the Great Wall so much. After all, people are forced to be detained here, risking life and death to defend the city, and they don't even provide any supplies. They can only risk life and death to find it themselves. Anyone else would be resentful. What Lu Yu couldn't understand was just that. Why is this so? How many cities are there in the Great Wall similar to the 16th city? Lu Yu asked the question that concerned him most. How many cities are there? This depends on how difficult it is to find the relics of the moon god heaven. But after the woman heard this, her eyes became a little confused. Sir, what are you talking about? There is only one city. The woman's words made Lu Yu shake his head. It seems that this woman has never stepped out of the 16th city in her life. It's also reasonable. She was an ordinary person with a child, where else could she go? Well, it's okay. Thank you for your answer. Lu Yu nodded, and after thinking for a while, he took out some dry food from his space wrist. Not much, just 2 servings. Thank you, sir. The woman cried with joy and kowtowed to Lu Yu again. The little girl also looked in awe. Sir, you are so kind. You are not like other Nayaguan people who came here before. Ahashi Reiko saw the little girl's grateful expression and took out the space wrist. I'm here. All right. Lu Yu stopped her. That's enough. With that said, Lu Yu took the Chiao to Reiju and left under the grateful eyes of the woman and the little girl. It wasn't until he walked out of the alley that Daikiao Reiko couldn't help but say. Lu Yu, I still have a lot of things to give them. Do you think they can keep what you gave them? Lu Yu smiled and pointed into the alley. There are people there who have been hungry for who knows how many days. If you bring out so much food at once, you are not helping them, you are harming them. Lu Yu's words instantly made Daikiao Leiju's hair stand on end. Sure enough, in the alley, those who were lying down all stood up. One by one, their eyes were fixed on the woman and the little girl. Then Lu Yu. It's okay, they have a solution, Lu Yu said. Sure enough, the woman and the little girl hurriedly devoured the dry food given by Lu Yu. They didn't even care about choking and swallowed hard. In just a moment, everything was eaten. Seeing this scene, the hungry people lay down again. Seeing this, Ahashi Reiko patted his chest. It scared me to death. Lu Yu, you are the best. Right, I'll just say you have big breasts and no brains. As he said that, Lu Yu stared at him. From his perspective, it was really such a deep scar. Seeing this, Ahashi raised his chest proudly. What's wrong with having big breasts and no brains? It's good. You can save your life at a critical moment. Ahashi Reiko. Can't you just appreciate my beauty? She was angry. Seeing this, Lu Yu spread his hands. When you don't talk, I can still appreciate you. When you talk, I can easily regard you as my brother. Ahashi Reiko. They say a true brother is a woman who becomes a brother when he needs a woman. Lu Yu, as your brother, I will be your woman for once with reluctance. Daikiao Leiju looked at Lu Yu with a face full of desire. Lu Yu laughed on the spot. Then I still feel that Yu is better. Sure enough. You just like men, Daikiao Leiju said angrily. What puzzled him was that Lu Yu did not respond to him at all, but stood in front of him without moving. What's wrong with you, Lu Yu? Daikiao Leiju walked forward in confusion. But soon, she was also stunned. In the distance, a team of people were rushing here. Chapter 0409 Outer City Law Enforcement Team, Cruel Great Wall. A team of people came here. The leader was wearing iron armor and riding a silver armored beast. There were scars on his face. Just riding, there was a murderous intention. And behind him, there were 2 people riding green armored beasts. Further back, more than a dozen people walked, and someone held a large chessboard, and when it was shaken, several large words were across the sky. Global High Martial Arts, copy SSS-level talents at the beginning. Author, Yunzhong Mu Shui. Chapter 540. Outer City Law Enforcement Team. Lu Yu narrowed his eyes when he saw this flag. Beside him, Ahashi Reiko was equally stunned. Lu Yu, are you here to catch us? Be confident, that's it, Lu Yu said. Sure enough, the next moment the leader riding at the front saw Lu Yu and quickly signaled to stop. I saw him driving the strange beast with 3 eyes to slowly come towards Lu Yu. Are you the insider who caused the trouble? He looked down at Lu Yu with a calm gaze. But even so, Lu Yu still saw the disgust hidden deep inside. Well, after knowing the ins and outs, Lu Yu said he understood. Yes, that's me. Lu Yu nodded. Seeing this, the silver armor general's eyes became more and more indifferent. Well, we received a report that you killed a warrior from the outer city. Now, please come with us. While he was talking, behind him, two blue-armored soldiers came forward, chains appearing in their hands. Obviously, this is to tie the two of them back directly. Many people gathered around. Ha ha ha. These two insiders are going to suffer. You really deserve it? You actually kill people. Haha, when they are taken away, you will know what suffering is. Many people looked at Lu Yu with gloating. Just now they were shocked by Lu Yu's performance, but now they saw someone coming to arrest Lu Yu, and they all became excited. Seeing this, Lu Yu frowned. Does this mean you want to kidnap someone? Dakiao took Lu Yu's hand. Lu Yu, we are now. Lu Yu shook his head. Dakiao saw this and said nothing, but secretly prepared. Why, aren't you two willing to obey? This is my routine business, please cooperate. The silver armor general's expression remained calm. He could clearly see Lu Yu's strength, he was just joining Tianyuan for the first time. And since he is at the 5th level of Tianyuan and has experienced life and death battles all year round, it is more than enough to defeat him. Speaking now, it can be said that he is very calm, and he is not worried about Lu Yu getting angry at all. Lu Yu could naturally see the strength of the silver armor general. Only. Want to tie yourself back and do routine business? How is this possible? According to their hostility towards people like themselves, if they don't do it well, even if they lose hands and feet, it will be a big deal. It's possible to die. What's more, I don't want to give in so easily. General, I did kill someone, but the problem is, that person provoked me first, so I kill him. Is there no problem? Lu Yu said. He thought he was still reasonable. Ten Yuan repeatedly provoked him, but if he didn't take action, could he stand still and get beaten? After hearing Lu Yu's words, the silver armor general narrowed his eyes. I don't care who of you made the first move. Anyway, the person is dead now and your one-sided words are of no use. You'd better go back with me and cooperate with the investigation. As he spoke, a cold murderous intent enveloped Lu Yu. The meaning is quite obvious. It's best to obey. Behind him, many soldiers also put their hands on their weapons. All around, everyone stayed away, preparing to watch the show. Seeing this, Lu Yu spread his hands. Everything I say is true. If you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do about it. I just want to ask you, are you worthy of cooperation? The silver armor general said expressionlessly. When Lu Yu heard this, he immediately laughed. I won't cooperate with you today, what else can you do? Lu Yu is also a firebrand. This guy is using his background to suppress himself. It's really annoying. I already told you that I wasn't the one who made the first move, so what else can I say? If you really go back with them, will you be beaten into submission? As expected, upon hearing Lu Yu's words, the silver armor general smiled, showing his white teeth. You're asking for death. If you cooperate, I won't be able to kill you. If you don't cooperate, I'll kill you, and that's within the rules. When Lu Yu heard this, his face completely darkened. Sure enough, this guy had no intention of letting him go just like that. Instead, he expected that he would refuse early, so that he could kill him directly. And listen to his tone. The rules within the Great Wall seem difficult to interfere with from outside forces. Let's do it. While Lu Yu was thinking, the silver armor general had already waved his hand. The next moment, the dozen people behind took action. They rushed towards Lu Yu with uniform standard weapons. Those who don't follow the rules, die. One person rushed to the front, raised his halberd and struck at Lu Yu. Seeing this, Lu Yu had no expression on his face. What else can be said? Let the fight begin. The red electric gun appeared, and with one shot, Lu Yu pierced the soldier's chest. What a strength! The silver armor general did not move where he was. When he saw Lu Yu's shot, he immediately narrowed his eyes with fear. Lu Yu shot the body away and looked at him. Okay, won't you know if you try it? Interesting, you are indeed arrogant enough, ha ha ha. The silver armor general's eyes flashed with contempt, and at some point, a black long knife appeared in his hand. Come on, let you flowers hiding in the greenhouse know what real life and death are. He laughed. Next to them, countless aborigines who were watching became excited. Send these people to death. Without us, they would have died long ago, yet they are still showing off their power over us. Why should we stay here and wait to die when they can enjoy everything? Look at their luxurious clothes. It's ridiculous. They were all woven with our blood and tears. Many aborigines shouted excitedly, their faces turned red, as if they were crazy. Lu Yu frowned and sighed slightly. I'll leave these people to you while I deal with them, Lu Yu said. Ahashi Reiko nodded at this. Don't worry, I will protect myself. Well, if it really doesn't work, I can block it with my chest. Ahashi Reiko.